What's good, y'all? It's your boy Coop. I'm here with your favorite host, Henry, and this is Open Ranks.
Yeah,
How you
yeah,
doing,
yeah,
Henry?
yeah, yeah. I mean, shit. I'm glad we back. Glad we back.
Oh,
Been a
oh
long
yeah.
time coming. Uh, the
Absolutely.
setup already looked better. We probably should have made our logos match, but nah, it's all
Oh,
good.
word, yeah, straight. I mean, I feel like we would be doing a little too much if we did, for real, honestly. But it's straight. I like it. It ain't that bad.
Yeah,
It's been a minute since we've been on here, like damn near 2 years, I believe.
bro. I think three. I think when we made that post today, I seen we had like 8 likes instead of like our normal 20. I was like,
Yeah,
that's probably about right. But the last time we posted 2.5 years ago, probably since we dropped the episode. So it's
yeah.
been a minute.
So what's new for you right now? I mean, because you know since the last time we had an episode, a lot of things have changed. Like you're not in the military no more. So
Nah, nah.
what is that like? What is that like?
Refreshing, refreshing. Um,
Okay.
I think it all depends on where you fall. As far as your assignments, your luck with assignments, your luck with leadership, your luck with location and mission, and all the different things that can kind of affect your experience outside of you just controlling what you can control. So you take all that away, and you just kind of, I just feel like myself again, for real, like all the way back to like right after high school type shit. And it wasn't to
Hmm.
say that I wasn't being myself then, because I definitely was. But it's like I think environment plays a bigger part in your everyday life than people give it credit for, especially for people who probably still in their hometown or pick that next best city that they think fits them the most. So I think even more than just being able to be myself, I feel like I'm constantly surrounded by shit that reminds me of myself.
Yeah.
And I don't take those moments for granted. Like it could be the music somebody playing when they ride by, or it could be the clothes somebody got on type shit. Like they the shirt they might have on or some shoes they might have on. Like it could be the dumbest thing that's like constant reminders of like, oh, I like that type of shit too. And so every day you just kind of in touch and like inspired, I think is for me. But I love the city. So I'm sure you being in DC is probably no different. I know niggas
Yeah.
in New York probably never get tired of that shit. So I
Absolutely.
love the city. So that part's cool.
What would you say leading up to your decision to get out was like your vision? Like when did you have the epiphany of like, all right, maybe I can do this outside the military. There is a lane. What I'm saying? What was the vision that you had, upon pressing that button to get out?
It was tough. I think the year my contract was up was the same year Hendrix was born. It's the same year my pops passed. So, and at that time, I'm at the training school teaching every day with Noble and Renz and Brown, some guys I'm still real close with. So, but we hated that shit every single day. We hated that shit. We hated not necessarily the training aspect. All the students was cool. All the kids was cool. The opportunity to enrich and groom and nourish and do all of those things was really really dope, and you get to meet so many different people and everybody come from different backgrounds. So the personable element of the work was dope, but the structure and the leadership was shit, and the area was shit, and the base was shit. And so all of that leading into the pandemic, and then like I said, with my pops passing, my son being born, I'm like waking up every day with like an understanding of the end of life in one hand and an understanding of like life beginning on the other hand. And I didn't like my life for real. And there
I
was
was gonna
times where
say,
I was sitting there like, and at that time, we was, niggas got a roof over their head.
it's a lot
Everything
to
looked
manage.
straight. Yeah, but I'm like, I wake up some days and be like, I feel like I'm living somebody else's life. Like for some reason, I'm not happy here. There's elements of it that I enjoy, but I'm genuinely not happy here. Like whatever this
Yeah.
is not. It don't feel right for me. Like, and I stand out in the middle of the garage and be like, is it Groundhog's Day? Like you just wake up every day, it's the same shit, but it's like you could remember or you can strongly picture another life.
Yeah.
It's like it's movies and shit like that. That's how that shit felt. So at that
Hmm.
point, I'm like, it don't have to be like this every day. And the people we study, the Michael B. Jordans and the LeBrons and the Rich Pauls and all those people, it's like um, they wake up every day and put their foot forward and they enjoy what they do and all the hard work that comes with it, because there's no escaping that. But the totality of it, that I think is what I envy most when I look at people like that. It's like, we talk about all the time, like even Kevin Hart, like with all the hardship that I'm sure his journey comes with, he still make a fuck ton of money with his friends, like with his best friends. And so like elements of that, I'll be looking at like, no, life don't have to look like this, because
Yeah.
people is out here doing it every single day. And so you just
Yeah.
got to figure out what that is for you.
Nah, I feel it. I was gonna say maybe even some of the emotions tied to the location might have, impacted you as
Possibly.
far as like pushing you away from that area, because it was a tough time. And I remember, what you was going through, especially
Yeah.
when Pops passed away. It was like it was one of them moments that everybody could feel it, bro. And your
Yeah.
energy is not typically like that, but I understand like losing a parent,
Yeah,
that's a
that shit
whole
was
nother.
different. It was dark, and it was lonely, because it's not an experience that you can replicate or fabricate. It's a journey of its own right. And if you haven't lost a parent, there is no loss that compares. And I think differently than like, people lose friends and uncles and aunties all the time. And like, even I would say, like, respectfully, and I could be biased just because I grew up so close to my dad. Like, I grew up right up under that nigga. So I would argue that, like, as long as I didn't lose both of them at the same time, that if I still had my grandma, but my mom was gone, I would find some solace in that. And if my grandma was gone and my mom was still here, I would find some solace in that. I feel like what my pops meant, there's no solace in that. There's no fabric, or there's no element in anybody. Because I just feel like that. I don't know. Like, I feel like maternal is such a beautiful spiritual thing for women to possess. But there's something about the trials and tribulation that every man goes through that make them their own man. That's like so signature to who they are, that I just don't think you can really find your father again. Like, you can,
Yeah,
you
nowhere
get
else.
coaches, you know what I'm saying? It's coaches and shit
Yeah.
that's cool. Like, they understand structure and they know how to say the right shit, whatever. But like,
Yeah, nah.
I
I
don't
get
think
it.
there's nothing out there like it in the universe for me. Cause like I said, I might be biased because I grew up with him and we was close and he taught me a lot. But like, from a maternal standpoint, I feel like I felt essence and elements of that love in different places. As much as I love my mom and she could never be replaced. So yeah, that was different. So that was part of it. And then Hendrix, for all the things that I knew I wanted to teach him about, like being his own man and figuring things out for himself and growing and developing, I did not want them lessons to be lost on the fact that I was living a life that I didn't enjoy.
Yeah.
Like, I wanted all the lessons that I taught him to be able to be seen and like able to be believed. And so like, if he called back home from college and he like, nigga, I don't know what to do next, it's like, whatever it is you want to do, you can do that. Just jump.
Yeah.
If you do it the right way and learn from the mistakes along the way. So I ain't want my advice and like my feelings about life to be far away from what I hope he can do and do better, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So it was somewhere in a combination of both of those things. I was like, nah, I've had enough. I'm cool. Like, y'all niggas got
Nah.
it.
Facts.
Y'all can't sell me on this, man. I ain't going to not now more shitty bases. I ain't going nowhere else where I got to argue with people about this, that, and the third. And
Yeah.
nah, I'm cool. It's because people, well, only 1% of people serve. And shit, I think 76% of people or something like that probably live in check to check or some shit like that. But then, nigga, it's a 20% somewhere out there that's not. And I'm trying to
Yeah.
catch up with that.
Yeah.
Like,
Facts.
don't sell me on them low odds. I'm interested in where the niggas on the high tide is at.
Yeah.
And The
I would
Alchemist.
say, yeah.
I read The Alchemist 3 times.
That's one of the books that I just got turned on to, right? Because I'm in like a book reading phase right now. I got 3 books and
Yeah.
I'm just bouncing back and forth between. But Alchemist is definitely something, one of the books that somebody recommended to me like within the
Yeah.
last week. And I already got it. Like I be in the car for an hour a day to and from work. So 2 hours total. I can knock out a decent chunk out of a book, while I'm driving on some audiobook shit. So yeah, I'm gonna have to look into that one too. And definitely turn that one on.
magical, bro.
Yeah,
Magical. Like
yeah,
it's the whole story. It's a whole story about this dude that like I don't want to spoil it, but for the people, it's so
nah, nah,
incredible.
nah,
Like
nah, nah, nah. Don't spoil
for the
it.
people who haven't read it, I like for the it's like
I
it's
ain't
so
read it.
incredible. It's really a
Okay.
story about like at any point in your life you can find contentment, but did you find what you was looking for? Like that's the whole
Mm,
book. That's the whole book.
mm,
Like this nigga made it up in his mind that he was looking for a certain thing, and truth be told, I don't think that thing exists. I think it's metaphorical. Like after you finish it, you look back and it's like I don't know. You never really know what it was, but it's like
yeah,
in a metaphoric sense, it was a treasure. And like he was out to find this thing. And throughout the entire book, he hits different points where like he could have stopped because any other person would have been content. Like, I'm cool right here. Like, I got
yeah.
this, I got that, I got this, I got that. The shorty, and I love her a lot. Like, I'm cool. Like, everything's straight. But then, like, that's not what he was looking for.
I want to say I feel like this book is about to open my eyes to a lot of shit that
Bro, it
I'm
changed.
dealing
I
with.
read it 3 times. I read it 3 times. I'm trying to think. Pops passing, Hendrix being born. I read The Alchemist 3 times. Just that work experience as a whole was dog shit. All of
Yeah,
it. The waking up at 5 a.m. to drive because the bridge had collapsed. That whole fucking thing was a nightmare. Like, so much so that I forget about it. And then, hell, even on some funny shit, like when J. Cole had that song off that album, where he was talking about, like, um, either you gonna hustle or Uncle Sam gonna have your ass re-enlisting.
mm-hmm.
Yeah, but the combination of all five, I'm like, I'm out.
Yeah.
I know
He
that
kind
nigga
of,
said that for me. I'm done.
yeah.
I'm like, I know he said that shit for me. Uh, so
Yeah,
that was it.
man. I think it's good that you can acknowledge and see what the cons were from the military and be able to make a decision past that, because a lot of people I don't feel like had the courage to get away from the comforts that the military brings, right? So we kind of talked about some of those cons, but there's got to be some takeaways that you feel like was necessary or was just a part of your plan to begin with. Like maybe it was school, you know what I mean? Maybe it was the group of friends that you were able
Yeah,
to
for
to
sure.
to meet, you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
the school part for sure though. Like you want to touch on what you went to school for and like how you did it, or like did the military pay for it? Did you pay any out of pocket? You know what I mean?
I said I didn't. I underachieved in high school. Like nigga smart, but I ain't really want to. I
I,
just wasn't really applying myself. Like I was goofing off, and I was working at night. Like I was more interested in like making whatever little money I was making and buying shoes and shit. So uh,
yeah,
my
facts.
GPA wasn't where I needed it to be. I could have still went to I could have still went to fam. That's why I hate like me and my pops got into it bad all the time. I could have still went. Like he knew some people on the board and shit, but he everything from him was earned. So I didn't earn the right for him to like make that call. And so we had to figure out another way for school to get paid for. Because he wasn't gonna do it.
Yeah,
And so out of all the options available, the Air Force was kind of it. And I was mad as shit. I was crying about it. I'm like, like me, I've been like, anybody that know me, I'm passionate, like Malcolm X follower and just all of that. So like the idea of joining the military at that time, 17, 18 years old, I'm like, hell no.
yeah,
And so I'm distraught. And like even my friends is like, what you doing? You can't serve, white man's army, whoop de whoop. So but at the end of the day, I had to get school paid for. So we went through the whole recruitment process. Master Sergeant Banks, cool dude. I remember when I went down to MEPS, they're like, what you joined the military for? I was like, to go to school. Them niggas started laughing. They was like, you here to do, you here to fight wars and deploy and all that. I was like, no, I'm really here to go to school. And it's like, okay, all right, And so uh, it was really that. We waited a long time. I think I was in MEPS in that whole process for about a year and a half. We turned down like security forces and this, that, and this, that, and this, that. Really wanted to do JAG because I was in debate team and like was winning awards and was like Pathfinder. The one thing I did get when I finally got my act together like senior year was Pathfinder Scholar of the Year for debate and shit. So I wanted to go to JAG route when it was time, but they ain't had no openings. So I was like, fuck it. I'm gonna go to JAG. And then I ended up getting accepted. So I was like, fuck it. I'm gonna go to JAG. So I wanted to go to JAG route when it was time, but they ain't had no openings. So I wanted to go to JAG route when it was time, but they ain't had no openings. So I was like, all right, well, cool. I ain't trying to be bogged down with no military shit. So find me some career that I can make use of and then go to school. And that's how NDI came up. So that was like my second choice. Non-destructive inspection, just doing x-rays, ultrasounds on the planes. I think one of the other episodes, me and Noble both did the same job. We kind of broke it down a little bit more. So just testing for structural integrity of the aircraft. Like I said, ultrasounds, x-rays.
Yeah.
And but the pace of that job is like firefighter. Like there's stuff to do when there is, and when it's not, there's not. And so that gave me the free time to take night classes my first year and then go to school online like everybody else after that. So that was really the vision. And then every year after that, it was a toss-up on whether I was going to stay or leave. Am I going to stay or am I going to leave? Am I going to stay or am I going to leave? The only thing that started to suck was throughout all of my rebellious, I don't know what you want to call it, throughout all of my headstrong, however you want to classify, like my much younger self, niggas was still good at it. Like, we had fun. Like we accomplished a lot. You start getting achievement medals. You start getting those quarterly awards start rolling in. Those promotion statements start rolling in, and I still got letters from a commander. Like everything you touch turned to gold. And we mentoring kids and coaching kids. And so once it started to all add up, it's like, okay, wait a minute, niggas might not have to go nowhere because we really putting the time in and getting what we want back from it. And so it got tough to decide whether to walk away because it's like, I'm good right here. Niggas tested, made staff first time. So I'm like, I don't have no reason to go for real.
Yeah.
So it was tough, but obviously I think the takeaway is school, that you can't beat the experience, the opportunity to meet and greet so many different people, and obviously still cool with all you dudes, you, Gotti, Jones, shout out to Frank. I think Frank was probably my first friend at the dorms, and that kind of just OG nigga out of all of us. So that just kind of I think Frank, I hate to say it, Frank, I don't want to say groom because I know that's like weird context, but I think Frank played a big part in all of our lives at different points. Like he was a really.
How much older was he?
I don't even know because it was all. It was between my first two friends there for real was Frank and Ham, and they both had their own ways, but it's familiar, right? Like you grow up different neighborhood like that. Them personalities is always around, and them the people you kind of want to kick it with and be around. So you can't beat the. I
think it was for Frank. It was the mentality for me. Like he was much more mature in a sense, even if he was only like a year or two older than me.
For sure.
You know what I mean? And it was just like, because when I was growing up, I always hung out with older people.
Older dudes.
You know what I mean? Like it was just who I was. So for him, it was like, all right, cool. He kind of matched the friends and the lifestyle I had before I joined. So it's easy for me to just gravitate to Frank. Frank was cool as hell. He still is,
He still is. Yeah. And then Hamp just you got to find shit. You never know where you're gonna end up, and you always it's always nice to look behind you and know that Hampton there. That's all I say, And so
about 240, bro, like 240, and he was with it, bro. It was hilarious.
Always heard him coming, and he was always ready when he got there. So, you can't really beat none of that. So it was a whole lot of pros. That's why people ask him, like, I think you should always do that first four. Just depending on what it is you got going on. But I always say go in there with a plan so you can, at every enlistment, you can make a choice for you. Or if you don't, you're going to have to make the choice that makes sense based on where you're at. By that time, you got bills and car note probably and all type of shit going on. People probably calling from the crib. There's a whole everybody be having a whole lot of different things that they come into it with. So
so your first enlistment, what was that, 6 years?
6. Should have did 4. Should have did the reserves, but we here now.
God damn.
When I met Woods and Smith, I was so fucking mad. I was like, y'all do the military on the weekends and y'all be at school. We was at Clemson. I'm like, y'all living normal lives. Like, this is crazy.
Yeah.
But, you know, you do the
So
best you
you
can with the knowledge you have.
so you came in for school.
Yeah. And to stay close to home. That's how we ended up in Charleston.
So how did you fare with school? You completed it, or did you set out? I mean, did you reach the goal you set out to reach before the 6 years?
Yeah,
Or
I
like
was
how long
desperate.
did it take?
I was desperate. I got a letter from the first year. I started school before I was finished with my CDCs.
Yeah.
Like, I was adamant. I'm like,
Buddy was
look,
on it.
hey, look, I'm here for one thing, and I'm not playing. Like, I got a letter from the shirt like this because normally you can't start until your CDCs is finished.
Yeah.
But at
No, I
that
remember.
time, yeah, like at that time, I was coming to work on day shift and like working, and then I hoop with y'all and come back to work on night shift and get quizzed and learn more shit from Miss Liner, who was our civilian at the time. So by the time it was like 2 months out from testing, I was super straight, like mad
Yeah.
straight. Like, so I'm like, hey, it's time to, I done paid my dues. I'm ready to kind of
Yeah.
get started on what I came here to do. And it's like, you better pass the test. I think I had like a 92 on that. I'm like, yeah, so that's done. And so the shirt wrote a letter, and yeah, I started school that next semester before I had got signed off. And
Yeah. So now
but it was
you have
different
a
though. That first year and a half, I didn't talk to y'all. I was obsessed with just that.
yeah,
That's
nah.
all I did.
We would catch you in passing, but we knew it
Yeah.
was something else going on. Like this brother here,
Like,
this man is focused, dog.
like,
You know what I mean? Like, golly.
like,
But it was respect though. We was like, he on his mission. I fuck with it.
yeah. Shit was different back then. Even before I hooped, I used to run 3 miles. I used to run that little McCombs way trail twice and then come hoop. Like, it was different then. Like,
It's a different type of motivation, bro, because
I was
you know
obsessed.
about
I
it.
was mad that I was there. I had a chip on my shoulder. I was arguing with everybody all the time. Like, it was just, I look back now and laugh, but it was a different it was just a different time, bro. It
So
was a
you got your
different time.
4 year,
Yeah, I got
right?
my 4 year. I started dipping into my GI Bill to finish early because before I extended for the career, before I extended for the tech school shit, I was gonna get out then. This was back when we was in Charleston. I was gonna get out then. Like, I'm like, no, I don't want to do this. I was gonna commission at one point because all my shit was set up for me to go that route. And
Yeah.
then, but I felt bad about, like, I knew I ain't really like the military for real. And
Mm-hmm.
I take a lot of pride in like who I am and like what I say and what I stand for. And so I ain't saying that you can't do the job without all of that. I just don't want to do no job without none of that. So I could
Mm-hmm.
never bring myself to commission because I'm like, I don't really care about nothing that we talking about. Like, it's no mission downrange
Yeah.
that that
Yeah.
don't
This ain't the
reach
type of
me.
life. You feel me?
You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? So like, even being here, like, there is no grander mission other than kind of doing your job. Yeah, the company has goals and quarterly goals and weekly goals and monthly goals and all that stuff, but it's all attributed to like what you do every single day. So like, the focus is so much smaller and singular that like, you ain't got to like, ain't nobody trying to condition you to care about something way over yonder. You know what I'm saying? And
Yeah.
I like that because I couldn't do that. So that's what kept me from commissioning for real. Like, I took the test, I had my package together, and I'm just like, I don't feel like I believe in this shit enough
Yeah.
to do it, and I still might not stay. And so that's all I had. And when I did the tech school shit, that was me trying to trick myself into staying longer. I'm like, as long as I get out of maintenance, go to a different environment, go to a different squadron where it should be people first, then I might find a way to want to stay in here. But that shit was worse than maintenance, over 10 times over. So I remember the first day, because when we got down there, I had to go TDY immediately. And like, Charleston is a hub. I think everybody, well, if you around the military, you know, Charleston is like a hub for AMC, got the C-17s out there. So like, the one thing they do have is money for a bunch of different things. And so I remember I walked in there. I was like, hey, like, so like they booked the tickets. I'm like, all right, cool. When I get the rental car, they like, oh, we don't do rental cars. I'm like, what you mean you don't do rental cars? Like, what you mean you don't do rental cars? So what I'm supposed to do? Walk? Like you? And this is where we went to Shepherd. I'm like, this big ass base, y'all want me to walk? And I'm like, no, I'm not walking. I called my old flight chief back and I was like, hey, they don't do rental cars down here. They don't have no money. Like I'm not. They want me to walk. I don't walk. Like,
no, that's it. Like,
and like, but I don't know how they did it. And I mean, I'm gone now and he's gone, but they paid for my rental car for the whole 2 months.
Yeah, that's
and I wasn't even a part of their squadron no more.
Crazy.
Like,
crazy. I don't know how you pulled that off. Somebody pulled some strings.
Yeah, I'm walking us. Can you believe this? Like,
where was you staying in Shepherd? Like in the on the base?
Off base. So they were like, you could buddy up with somebody else who's in your class. I don't even know who these people are. I'm like, no, bro, and we out here for 2 months. I'm like, no, I'm not trying to be without no rental car, and I ain't trying to like get set up on no okie doke reimbursement stuff either. I'm like, what? There's got to be some money down here. So
yeah, they was trash. They was definitely trash for that.
It was tough, but the old squadron showing love. Like I said, when it got to a point, I think for me, you and Gotti, we had kind of figured it out, and we was really respectfully having our way and had access to a lot of different things. So it was hard to leave for that reason, because it got to the point you could just pick up the phone and shit would happen. So still no regrets though. I still like it out here. But
yeah. So I know what you went to school for. I don't know if the people really know, right? So you got your 4-year in project management.
Specifically, yeah.
And then also when you got out, found a career and actually, started a career within your major.
Yeah.
You hear stories all the time. People go to school and they don't even do, anything that has anything to do with their major that they graduated with. So tell people about project management. Like, what is that?
In essence, it is what it's said to be. A project is, we'll say, any task that has a definitive start and end. And with that comes a budget, resources, manpower that has to be allocated and guided to completion for said project. So if you're told to get 10 items installed, and that's what the contract is written up for, you get the contract for X amount of dollars, you figure out how many people you need to get it tasked, how long it's going to take you, or if they have a deadline in line, which they usually do, how many people and how much money is it going to take for me to meet said deadline, what obstacles will I or may I encounter, and if the contract is set for a certain amount and it's estimated that you're going to make a certain amount, can we plan to do anything that allow for us to make more while still, obviously you're not shortchanging the customer any. They agreed to pay you what they paid you, what savings you can accrue based on being efficient, or resources, materials selected, so on and so forth, is on you. But that's the core of it. I think project management equals customer or stakeholder satisfaction times scope completion, being whatever it is you're tasked to do. And then the two things that you're struggling with always is time and money. You either have enough or you don't, and it all depends on just how the cycle of the project goes. So that's the skinny of it. It's it is, because I mean you running more than one project at a time. I think that's the hard part, and you're running projects of different scales at a time and different, I would say, not levels of importance, because every customer is important, but the reality is different levels of like intensity as it relates to, maybe this project is, on this side of the equipment, and this project might have equipment that's less involved. And so it gets busy when you got more than one of those going on. And then you got a team of people that's responsible for being divvied up and handling said work for each interaction. Then you got customer interactions that have to happen on the back end, whether it's meetings virtually or in person or just email traffic back and forth. Then you got the budget that you update, every week, and do your projections on where your costs are going to stand. And it's multifaceted, multi-layered for sure.
I think it's very interesting. And the reason I bring this up is because I'm actually studying, doing research on the work week and how
Right.
people are doing 9 to 5s. Obviously it's a little different teleworking and things like that. But
Yeah.
from what you talking about it in project management, like what does that look like on a day-to-day basis? Like what's a day in the life of a project manager, or at least for you, um, in terms of like the 9 to 5 that people are kind of traditionally used to? Because it sounds like you're working way more than that.
It ain't no 9 to 5. I'll tell you that much. Uh,
Oh no.
it is and it ain't though. Like I ain't gonna act like it ain't downtime in it because it is. It really just depends on what it is that you're up against at what point. But for the most part, like it really just depends. And the cool thing is like for the most part, project management is entrepreneur. Like you have to have a entrepreneur spirit to kind of really take ownership of what it is that you're doing, because your projects are yours, your customers are yours. Like no one can really do what I'm doing for me. Like if I take time off, that's a choice that I'm making based on where my shit is. Like I can't call somebody and be like, hey, if there's an emergency and that you need to go to a site and interact with somebody, can you do that on my behalf? But for the most part, my work is mine. So you take ownership of it in that regard. But it's not a 9 to 5 as far as like my guys work from 6 to 2.
Mm-hmm.
And so my phone can start ringing as early as 6. It usually stops around 2. But from 6 to 2, I feel like I'm at the mercy of everybody else's needs. And that's when a lot of meetings take place. So that's when site visits take place. And then from 2 to 5 or 6 is when I get to actually sit down and like focus on my tasks or the things that I need to do. So
Yeah.
first half of the day, whether it be meetings or just getting on the phone and talking to everybody. I got 10 people with me right now, so I usually talk to at least 6 of them every single day throughout the early course of the morning, making sure they have what they need, making sure they're where they're supposed to be. And then from that point forward, if I've got meetings with customers, set them up pretty much like bi-weekly, give them updates on where certain things stand. After that, it's a lot of email traffic. It's a lot of updating sheets and tracking progress of things. I usually do budgets once a week. They come out on Wednesdays. So like today, I didn't do it today, but normally I do budgets on Wednesdays or Thursdays, depending on how my Wednesdays look. Tuesday, I usually work from home. Friday, I usually work from home. And that's really it every single day. I ain't gonna hold you. Every
Yeah.
single day is somewhere in that gauntlet of having things to do. And the days that you're on site a lot, like if I hit 2 or 3 sites a day, depending on like if I have to be out there, that's a whole day that I wasn't checking emails and wasn't doing other things. So that's shit that I got to come home and do. Usually, at least the big shit that's going to possibly prohibit somebody from doing what they need to do the next day.
Yeah.
And so it's nights where like shit, everyone and I both, we sit up and the only thing we doing is like responding to emails we miss and we scheduling them to hit somebody inbox at 6, 7 in the morning just so it can keep going.
Yeah.
Um, so it's fully involved. You got your team and everybody's got different personalities, and figuring
Yeah.
out, how to talk to this person and how does this person respond, and can this person work on an island? Is this person comfortable with this and this, that, and the third, and trying to make decisions? I mean, I feel like you're forever getting better at that. I'm in a season of getting better at that right now. And I think even that's different than being in the military, because in the military, like I said, everybody's being themselves to a certain extent. Out
Mm-hmm.
here, everybody's just being themselves. So like
Yeah.
if and there's nothing, however they show up is contingent upon how they want to show up. Like if this person is like a redneck, they're just a redneck. They don't have to like put that in their pocket per se. Like they could choose to, and over time they'll probably want to, but that pace at which they do it is much slower than like the military forcing you to cut that shit off as soon as you walk in. You know what I'm saying? Or if you grew up in
Yeah.
a certain neighborhood, this, that, and the third, the military's like, hey, cut that shit off as soon as basic training starts. Like they try to break you. Yeah, ain't nobody breaking nobody out here. So that process is like, it happens because people want to keep their jobs, they want to be liked, and so on and so forth. But it's longer, and you can pick up on pieces of it
Mm-hmm.
more apparently, and so it's a process. Really getting to know everybody and like getting to a point where everything is smooth, and so it's fully involved. That's for sure.
Yeah.
It's fully involved.
with every job, there's got to be some things that you just don't like, right? There are pros and there are cons. What would you say those are for you in the space of project management? Because you've been there what, like 2 years now, almost.
2 years. Yeah, this month make 2 years.
That's a pretty decent amount of time to kind of formulate what it is that you don't like and what it is that you do like about this.
Cons are your work being contingent upon other people in many different facets. Whether you're waiting on somebody to respond for something, waiting for somebody to do something, somebody needs you to do something. Like, it's not like I can't ever really go in isolation and just work for myself. The work I do is for everybody. Like, I'm in pretty much no different than any leader. You're in constant service.
Yeah.
And so that tug of war is not so much a con, but it's something you get better at no differently than anything else. Like, it's not like my work isn't just for me. Like, I feel like if I was an author, I would be sitting down writing at my rhythm, at my pace, and it's for me. You know what I'm saying? But like, this is not for me. A lot of what I do is for everybody. I give it away. And
Yeah.
so that's something to get used to. The customer always being right is always a challenge, because you just got to really sit there and bite it sometimes, you know. And I think that a valuable lesson from one of my mentors in the company is like, difficult versus bad for a customer was an incredibly important lesson. Difficult being, is there something that they rightfully entitled to that they're throwing a tantrum about because you need to give it to them? Bad being, you've already satisfied all of their needs and they're looking to take advantage of you. But being able to differentiate that and know where you're at and how to respond to either circumstance, and then thinking about that even broader about life. It could be your lady or your friends. Like, is this person bad, or are they difficult, or even extremely difficult, based on the fact that a need that you can provide or that you agreed to provide isn't being met? And so now, are they bad? Are they difficult, kind of difficult, incredibly difficult? All based on how it is that you're showing up. It's because it's easy to be like, man, this customer sucks. It's easy to do. I can do that all the time. Really, not all the time. I have great customers, but in theory, I could do that all the time.
Yeah.
But looking at the contract or looking at the scope, did I do everything that I said I was going to do? Or was I late? Or was I late all the time? Or was there always material delays? And even though I'm not the vendor, I select the vendor that I go through. So like, is there anything that they're rightfully upset about that is causing them to be difficult, and it would be unfair for me to label them as bad? Or have we done everything on time, or the majority of things on time, and really given them a good product, and now they're nickeling and diming and trying to get over on us? Okay, now that's a bad customer, and then you respond accordingly. So customer being always right is a challenge. I don't think I have too many cons other than that.
Okay.
Like,
well, that's good.
There is no more cons probably after that. Like,
Okay.
Yeah, I remember the biggest thing. I don't spend not a single day. I used to be like, yo, this could be better. This could be better. This could be better. This could be better. When I was in the military, we could do this. We could do this. Why aren't we doing this? Why aren't we doing that? Everything sucks type shit. And I think everybody goes through that. I don't do that here. I spend no time thinking about things that can be better, because everything's already great. And if it's not, there's people committed to figuring that out all the time.
Yeah. Okay.
Like, I don't
see.
I just
That's
work.
good. I feel like everybody needs that. Somebody could just dive into the data and see what we could have done better or we couldn't do better. You know what I mean?
I just work.
I feel like we don't really have that in the military.
No.
Or we do, but it's like
there's always this person's leadership could be better, or this, that, and the third. Or you call somebody out on the leadership and then they don't change, or whatever it is. Like, there's none of that here. Like,
I feel like for us, it's a comment box.
Yes, exactly. And so, like, I think, like I tell people all the time, like, especially coming to this company, like, for people who follow sports, like when Jimmy Butler went to the Miami Heat, he really felt like he had a home differently than all the other places he had been. I'm not saying everybody's perfect, but everybody's willingness to do the right thing is strong. So, like, even as my team, somebody who works under me or along with me could be like, hey, bro, I really don't like you did this, that, and the third type of, I am okay, cool, I'm going to fix that. Like, you will see some improvement as soon as I can offer it to you. And everybody is wired like that. And so that's what eliminates all that friction and tension that I feel like I used to feel all the time. You look to your left, to your right, you really don't know who you like. I wouldn't want to go downrange with none of y'all because I don't really
Mm-hmm.
know who y'all are for real or what y'all gonna do. Or like, I'm in here fighting for my life and trying to make it back home. And like, you okay with like, I don't know what. And so here it's like, not everybody in alignment. So it makes all of that. So the cons are short for
That's
that reason.
good.
Yeah.
I was gonna say, because I know who you are. I know you did the research. You're gonna do the research before you do anything.
Yeah.
But with that research, is what you're doing now as a project manager what you envisioned it to be before you got into the position?
Yeah. Yeah. I think the only thing that's probably a little bit different is I think there are some project managers that do a little bit more on the contract side as far as like having to like bid for the work. Like they got to actually put together the budget, put together the specs, submit it to the
Yeah.
customer and like win the bid. We don't
Mm-hmm.
do that because our office has like account managers that handle that part of it. So that part's kind of off my plate. We get to focus just on execution after the contract's been struck. So that's a little different than what I expected it to be. But then the rest of it is exactly pretty much what I envisioned as far as like what I felt like I was looking for. And I remember like even the dude I used to work for, Mr. Britton, would be like, you'll never be happy unless you work for yourself. I'm like, nah, I just don't want to work for you. I know what I'm looking for is out there because there's less people here than there are anywhere else. So I know it's somewhere out there. I just don't want to work here anymore.
And I think that's the mentality a lot of people in the military have, right? Like we talked about the comment boxes, but even then, like people ain't completely honest in them comment boxes. It's almost like
Yeah.
when you put the comment in there, you fill out the card, the commander's the one with the key. But you could
Mm-hmm.
be talking directly about the commander. He or she could read it and then be like, all right, cool, and just toss that shit to the side. It's like no accountability. Like, and then
Yeah,
to
for
go
sure.
above their head
It's a
is like a
process.
whole nother thing that you have to
Mm-hmm.
do. And then even then people like, damn, I don't want to jeopardize somebody's career. You know what I mean? Like
Mm-hmm.
you get to second guessing what it is that you're doing every day. Is it really that bad?
Mm-hmm.
Is it that bad that I had to go and jeopardize this person's job? I know he got kids, all this different
For
stuff
sure.
gets to working in your head. So it's like, dang, I don't know what to do. But for you, it seems like everyone is pretty receptive to the feedback and make the necessary changes because they want it. They genuinely want to do better.
Yeah.
Whereas in the military, it's kind of hard to get reprimanded or kicked out. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Like, so you can kind of get away with a lot of shit
Yeah. Yeah.
to an extent, right? But
Yeah. Unless it's real bad. Like if it's real bad, they'll go crazy on you.
yeah, absolutely. Um, so would you consider your career choice as a hard career in terms of like what you need as a person? Is it fulfilling you there? Is it taking too much from you?
It's definitely hard. And it's definitely uh you flexing muscles every day that you got to continue to work on. And burnout is imminent. It's likely. It's no getting away from it. And so figuring out different rhythms and routines on how you want to go
Mm,
about managing that is something that you got to figure out. And each year, like from year one to year two, drastically different things on my mind and like things that I'm responsible for. And like probably worse than anything is like turning it off because in theory there's like literally always something you can be doing or always something you could be looking at or always something you could be communicating. And so like even getting to the point where you find confidence and like, nah, this can wait because the difference between 11 o'clock tonight and 8 o'clock tomorrow morning ain't that grand, but your attachment to it because it's yours gets a little wicked. So I would say hard because the demand is there. It's always your fault, whatever it is. If your team did it, it's your fault. If the vendor messed up, it's your fault. If you
yeah.
if you messed up, it's your fault. And so
Hmm.
you find comfort and solace in just that pressure. Um, Automation and controls is hard. So like the nature of it is hard. So we work on the computer side of the equipment as far as like in your house it's thermostat is in connection with um, the air conditioning unit outside and you command it on and off. And like that same relationship, but think about it for like a 50-foot building, you have that many more thermostats, and then you have that much more air conditioning equipment, whether it be a rooftop unit or air handler unit, that are, you know, way larger.
Mm-hmm.
You've got a descendant wheel, right? Like there's so many pieces. Like a descendant wheel takes uh, outside air, and it's literally a wheel. It's a big thing that's on the roof of buildings. It's literally like a wheel. It pulls in outside air that's being supplied to the building, but it mixes it with air that's been returned, like exiting
Mm-hmm.
out, right?
Yeah.
To temper it before it comes in, so that all the equipment in the building isn't working as hard to cool the air that's being supplied,
Yeah.
right? It's like we're not talking about your house anymore. And so connecting all that shit, it ain't like Christmas. You go outside and you string up all your lights and get them all hung up, and you plug them hoes in, and it's like, hallelujah, you plug this shit on, and sometimes the lights don't come on. Like, it's that much equipment, and it's that many different things that are communicating, BACnet, IT, MSTP, different protocols, and that shit might not work. And so the nature of it is hard, and people don't understand it, and so they're expecting Christmas, and we rarely have Christmas to offer.
Yeah.
And so that part of it is challenging in itself, is a beast in itself. Um,
I can imagine, bro. You talking about a 50-foot, 50-story building.
so many things that's got to play well that's
Whew.
getting installed. Um, and so, yeah, it's hard. I put it right up there with accountants at a certain level, lawyers to a certain degree. Um, yeah, it's hard because you're doing so many different things. You're a coach, you're an accountant, you're um, a business strategist as it relates to your communication and routine of offering to your customers. Yeah, it's hard. I wouldn't. Anybody would be remiss not to categorize it as such, but it's not impossible, and that the ability to win every day is there, which I really like, because every day you can find something to be better at, like just something.
So
Uh,
you brought up The Alchemist, right? I haven't read it, but
yeah,
one of the things that you said earlier was um, about how the person was he'd get to a certain point and they'd be like, all right, cool, this is not exactly what I thought it would be, but
facts.
as in raising the ceiling for themselves once they reach a
Yeah,
certain and going on to the next thing. I know this ain't end game for you. You talk about sustainability and the burnout. Like, how
yeah.
long do you think this is something that you can do, and what's the next step for you that you can kind of envision at this point?
I think that the project management and the nature of management is something I always want to be attached to and associated with. I think the only thing that'll change is what it is that I'm managing. So like I might not work in HVAC automation and controls forever. Um, I would love to be closer to something sports driven or culture driven or clothes and shoes driven. Like
Yeah,
I'd love to be like, I don't know what project management looks like for Kith, but I'd love to be like on part of like the storytelling and the execution of like stuff like that, because it hits closer to home for me. So
yeah.
um and shit, look, man, like if I ain't have Hendrix when I left the military, I was gonna go work at Puma's corporate office anyway. Like I was trying to find my way
Yeah, he was on your
right
way.
there. So it's just they shit located in Boston, and my son is his mom is in Florida. So trying to figure that out to see him would have been tough. Boston expensive as shit. Take a minute to like get to the point where you're making enough money to offset certain costs. So I turned that down. But if a chance came up again to get myself somewhere closer to that, I I wouldn't turn it down, because like I said, like somewhere in that realm of product creation or
Yeah.
storytelling or something in that realm, or sports is where I would like
Hmm.
project management to take me.
Yeah. That's dope. Proud of you, my dog. You know,
Shit,
are you enjoying yourself?
a little bit too much. So
Yeah.
a little bit too much. That take time too. Being just man, look, because ain't nobody telling you to be one way, one place or the other. So like that take time. Like because
Yeah.
like you know in the military you got to show up at this time. You got to leave at this time. Okay, no one's doing that now. And so it do be it. There are days where like we might go get breakfast and go back to sleep and don't start work till like 12, 1 o'clock in the afternoon. Like if I know I don't have no meetings and nothing's like immediately pressing and my
Yeah.
phone not ringing a bunch, like and so like being disciplined about not just your job but your entire life and like
Hmm.
having the freedom that is like a whole another mental hurdle to have to overcome because the rigidity is all you're used to. It was like how much could I squeeze in my lunch break, and if it wasn't in my lunch break, cool. Now it's like
Yeah.
I really got all day, and it's really up to me to pick and choose whichever way it's gonna go
Hmm.
with respect to the work that has to be done and customers and team and everything like that. So I wouldn't say that's a con thinking about it, but it's definitely like coming out the military, depending on where you land and having your freedom back and all the different things that that could mean is definitely something to get better at
Hmm.
because it's a lot. That's a lot that can be done all the time. Uh,
Yeah. I want to say that I think I can speak for a lot of people when I say that I am proud of you. We proud of you,
yeah, I
and
appreciate that, bro.
we see what you do every day. From the moment we met you, you know, it's always been inspiring and motivational to see you do what you do every day. We see the grind, we see the work ethic, we see you standing up for yourself as well as others. We see you raising a child. You know, all of that is something beautiful to see, and I want you, everyone that's listening to know that this is a true role model, not just for me, but I know for everybody else around him as well. Probably don't got nobody can say anything negative about him and what he does. So, like I said, we proud of you. Just keep doing what you're doing, but take care of yourself at the same time. You know,
Oh
make
yeah,
sure that make sure that Henry is good. And you out here managing so many different things in this life.
yeah,
Just make sure Henry is good too, so we can
yeah,
continue to see you and rap with you and share your experiences with the people. So,
yeah. I appreciate
um,
that for sure, brother.
okay, so I know it's been a minute, and
Yeah.
some of y'all may remember, but for the newcomers, explain the meaning and purpose of Open Ranks. Because you like the originator for all of it, really. You know, kind of the glue that holds it all together. Explain it on what Open Ranks means to you and what its purpose is for us moving forward.
Yeah, I think really at the core of it was like watching I Am Athlete, um, and even shows like what ended up being the pivot with some of the members from I Am Athlete, and just watching how they had this space where athletes could come and talk about their experiences as athletes, different teams, different coaches, different playoff series, different teammates, and just all the nuance that goes into something that's interwoven into the fabric of like America, which is sports and sports culture. And so I'm like, okay, well, I don't think like when you hear military experiences, one, they're white, and two, it's always like on some like let me inject all this leadership into your veins, let me inject all this structure into your veins, let me inject all this discipline in your veins, you know, like the books, the David Goggins and all the different people that are out there. And it's like that's one part of it that's really important. Or then and then even beyond that, you got just war history and the War of 1812 and Civil War and World War One, two, and three about to start. Like it's always like held in those two pockets, but like in between that there's a lot of people with a myriad of different experiences in and outside of the uniform while serving. And then you add that to the need to hear what those experiences are like from Black people, brown people, gay people, women. I don't feel like there's an I Am Athlete pivot equivalent just for that. And
Yeah.
then just even getting away from the misnomer of like for the sake of y'all's families and my family at one point, like, oh, what do you do? Do you fly planes? It's like, no, I don't actually fly planes. Like none of us really fly. I actually only know like two pilots. Like this so much bigger than that. No, I'm not shooting nobody. No, I'm not going
Yeah.
to war. No, when you watch the news, you don't have to call my phone because I'm not a part of that. Like, no, you know, there's a lot more no's than yes as far as what people outside of it know. So it's okay, cool. We could step in there, and
It's a lane for sure.
it's a lane and an opportunity to bring those stories forward. And so we did that a little bit. You know, like I always praise, like the episode with Bailey was incredible, or the episode with Noble was incredible, and even talking to Gibbs the other day and his and everything, all the elements that took footing as it related to him becoming an officer. Like I'm really looking forward to him like diving deeper into that when he comes back on the show, and we'll run out of a network that's immediate to us as far as friends, close friends, acquaintances, coworkers, and all that. But then at that point, hopefully we're big enough to just really be able to reach out to anybody in any branch, and continue to kind of build on this opportunity to be a part of Open Ranx. And Open Ranx being, you know, a slight misspelling of the command, in which usually, you know, you're lined up and organized in a fashion in which your lead NCO can come through and inspect, and you're opened up for inspection as it relates to your uniform cleanliness, and you know, you got the right rank on, or your buttons buttoned, and all the little things that go into that picture perfect image of a soldier. That's what the command Open Ranx is for. It opens you up to be able to be inspected, scrutinized, graded, judged to a certain standard. And so take the rigidity out of it, and it's like, okay, people are coming here to have an opportunity to open up.
I think in terms of how we present or wanted to structure Open Ranx, it was just a way for us to kind of, you know, give the command when we turn on the record button, and open up about what it is that's going on or what we're experiencing, and just kind of dive into that. Whereas, like he said, there's really no voice, especially for people who look like us. You know what I mean? And like he said, as we get larger, get bigger as a brand, and more people start to follow us, we'll dive into whoever, you know, because everybody should deserve a voice, and we definitely want to be that type of a platform for all walks of life. So that's what it mean to me, and I think that's, you know, what Henry was trying to do when he started this, because we got a real close-knit group, and it's kind of special, the chemistry that we share, not only with the other co-hosts on the show, but the people that are around us, that have been around us since the beginning, right? It's been almost 10 years that we've been around each other. So
and still around
it's
each
really
other
beautiful.
in some shape, way, or form. So
exactly,
we got everything we need to make it bigger. And so just consistency and a better product from us, which is what y'all are looking at now. We didn't have video season 1 and season 1.5 or 2, however we want to technically classify it. We didn't have video, and we weren't consistent with our engagement. And then there's so many different excuses, but the goal now is for everybody to continue to prioritize what this can be, and build it. So it's something that we can all look for, like a makeshift community, virtual community that we can all look forward to being a part of.
So let's tell them what we got in store for this season, right? Like, it's new, not even really just season, right? I mean, there are certain things about Open Ranx that we are testing out still, like this software that you're seeing now, which it's allowing us to provide you guys with more, you know, a visual aspect to the whole thing. Our structure and how we're formatting the episodes, where in the past we may have had 3 to 4 people on, and now it's just going to be more like a 2 to 3 people type of thing, and then bringing different groups together. One day you might have me and Henry on here, and then another day you may have Gotti and Gary on here, or Khalil and Henry. You know what I mean? And each of us together shared different things in common that we might be able to touch on and reach a different demographic of people. So hopefully this works out. I think it will. I'm excited about it. And I hope everyone out there listening is excited. You know, I think the biggest goal for us this year is to obviously grow a following, but it's more so to stay consistent, or be more consistent
Yeah.
with dropping episodes and providing you guys with the content that you've been missing. We've been longing to give you guys. So that's the biggest thing I think for us as far as Open Ranks goes, and what we have in store for you guys. I mean, obviously the merch we've talked about before, which we found a company that we like, and are looking to test things out with. Which that should be coming very soon too. You'll start to see stuff on our Instagram, and a lot more content flowing through our Instagram. Stay tuned for that as well. We do have one more segment before we get out of here. This is new. We're gonna try it as well. It's kind of like a game, if you will. It's like question and answers. Henry, it's gonna
Yeah.
require you to just pick one. I'm gonna show you something and vocalize it for those who aren't watching. Just pick a person or pick something of it, and then I'm
Yeah.
gonna move on to the next one. So it's only gonna be like 9 or 10 things, and then we'll get out of here and let you guys go. So when you're ready, let me know, and I will go ahead and get us going.
All right, that's about. Let's do it.
All right. So the first one,
Mm.
you got Cat Williams or Kevin Hart stand up.
Cat. Cat Williams for sure.
Cat.
Yeah, for sure. For sure.
Okay.
The style.
Okay.
Grew up on it. Tink tink.
I got you. Okay. So next one, we got at the barbecue. Who you taking, Mike Epps or Chris Rock? It's the barbecue, right? The whole family's there. Who do you absolutely have to see at the barbecue and gonna be mad if they're not there?
I'm taking Chris for sure. I'm taking Chris
What?
Rock. They both can everybody family is multifaceted and they're gonna work different elements of your family. Like they probably not talking to the same cousins and uncles, but they both got a place. But I would be remiss. I'd be mad if Chris Rock didn't show up, tell some of his
Okay.
stories and shit like that.
Okay. I got you. I got you. I'm taking Mike Epps though. I don't know if it's. I don't know.
My
To
guess
me, I
is
just feel like. I feel like for me, it's Chris Rock. He's gonna be reaching for the jokes, reaching for the laughs,
yeah,
and they may come natural to him, but the group that's around him that he's working is gonna laugh because it's Chris Rock. Where Mike Epps
yeah,
to me, like he can just be
naturally
himself
funny.
in his setting,
Yeah,
and he ain't gonna reach for nothing. It's just gonna happen, and it's not because it's Mike
yeah,
Epps, because this is a goofy ass nigga. You know what I mean?
yeah.
Um,
I ain't
okay,
I ain't mad
okay,
at that. They both in there.
yeah, for sure, for sure. Okay, so the next one we got. Okay, remove one from existence. You got Eddie Murphy or Kevin Hart.
Keeping Eddie Murphy. No Eddie Murphy, no Kevin Hart anyway. So Kevin Hart can get removed.
I agree. I agree. On
Yeah.
to the next one. We got
Oh, Nutty Professor. Ain't even no the options is Nutty Professor or Soul Plane. Which one you want to
couldn't even
watch?
get it
And
out.
it's Nutty Professor all day.
Nutty
Like I just
Professor
watched
is
that a couple of weeks ago. That bitch is a classic.
the oh my god.
Like,
That's one
that
of the
is a classic,
craziest movies ever. When they was at that dinner table, bro.
bro. And
Or was
it's
that the club?
Shawty. April hadn't seen it before, so like I like
Oh,
it's movies like Nutty Professor or Life that's like it's the best to watch them with people who hadn't seen it. It's
the
like it's
funniest.
funnier. You know what I'm saying? Like you get
The
to like you
funniest.
experiencing it again. Like he's like, yeah, that's funny, and like it's hilarious. Like, no, yeah, Nutty Professor
Yeah,
is
every time I
one
die,
of them
bro. That one
ones.
was crazy, yeah, for sure.
That's one of them ones.
Okay, let's see what we got next. Because I'm agreeing with you, Nutty Professor over Soul Plane. The Soul Plane's good too. It got its
So
moments.
playing good too. Yeah,
It definitely has its moments, but it don't beat Nutty Professor. Maybe I should have made that one a little harder. Okay, moving on. All right, the
Bernie
funnier
Mac.
show. You got the Bernie Mac show or the Jamie Foxx show.
Bernie Mac.
Now,
For the same reason as why you would take Mike Epps over Chris Rock.
I got you. But damn, Jamie Foxx, that show was funny too. Yeah, I agree with you. I agree with you on that one. All right, next one we got. All right, delete one. You got to delete one. This is hard. This is Martin the sitcom or the Fresh Prince. You got to delete one. I don't know which one you're gonna delete.
I'm deleting Fresh Prince, but the favorite is probably Fresh Prince. Like I think Fresh Prince was the better show. it
Yeah.
was a better show in general. It was a better production. You had more characters, more scenes, more
Yeah.
storytelling. Like it was a better show.
Yeah, for
But
sure.
Martin was always my favorite.
I probably had to let Martin go for real. I ain't gonna lie.
Yeah.
Just because there was so many like Nick at Night
Mm-hmm.
nights that the Fresh
Mm-hmm.
Prince came on when I was coming up, that I
Mm-hmm.
can't not say that that wasn't the show that I would be watching out of the two. Like if I had to pick one to watch, Fresh Prince was the one I was gonna watch before
For
Martin,
sure.
or at least it was just on more. Now I got all the DVDs, the disc for Martin. You know what I
Oh, nigga,
mean?
what? Still.
So
Just in
you know what I
case
mean?
somebody want to
Like
play and like delete it off a streaming app or some shit. I can't have
yeah,
that.
you
So
know
I
what I
got
mean. I don't have a Fresh Prince. I don't have a Fresh
I
Prince.
got both. I got
I
both.
didn't
I
get that
got
one.
Martin, Fresh Prince, and the Cosby Show. The Cosby Show
The
with
Cosby Show is
Claire. Like,
probably to me top tier, like one of my favorite shows. Period, because it was such a dynamic television show as far as
mm-hmm,
a successful black family, you know,
mm-hmm,
dealing with the trials and tribulations, and like the kids growing up and seeing them growing up on the
mm-hmm.
show. It was like it felt like a real show. You know what I mean?
Nigga,
Like
and
you
you
had
know
the
what's crazy?
grandparents.
And this will never be anything we talk about on this podcast ever. But I'm gonna say it now because you brought it up and it just dawned on me. It's crazy because like they both was successful as shit. Cause she was
Yeah,
what, a lawyer and he
she
was
was an
a
attorney.
doctor.
Yeah,
She was
and
an
he was a
attorney and he was a
doctor.
doctor.
Yeah,
So like you take away like everything that's become gender roles in 2024, I might rewatch that show just to see how they tied the humor into that dynamic to where both people are really
yeah,
out here getting it, um, and just
bro.
having
They
to
all
make whatever
killed it.
sacrifice necessary. Yeah, for sure.
They didn't lose a step the entire time. Like that was my shit. Like I watched that shit every night, bro. Every night.
Yeah,
So to me, I think the
for
Cosby
sure.
Show is like one of my top tier, top three shows, and it ain't number three. I don't know what I'm gonna put at number one or two. I don't know. I gotta figure that out. But moving on, moving on. Hell of a show, but moving on. Let's
Yeah,
see
for
what we
sure.
got. All right, better music, Lil Baby or Young Boy Never Broke Again.
Same thing. I think Young Boy got probably a more diverse catalog and sound. I'll take Baby personally for me though, but I could see people picking Young Boy. I ain't got no issue with that.
I think I'm gonna go more Young Boy because I can feel more of the emotion.
Mm-hmm.
You know, even though it's what he talking about is horrible most times, like,
Most times,
but
pretty
the
bad.
overall quality of the sound, I think, as far as his development went, and the amount of music that he put out and the amount of people he was able to touch, I think he would be the person to put out better music. Rapper, I would probably say Lil Baby though, but better music, NBA.
Yeah, yeah.
Let's see. Let me go next. All right, so you got to cancel one. I didn't really like the cancel, but since it's such a cancel culture, I went ahead and threw that in there anyway. We got Ice Cube and 50 Cent. Who you canceling, bro?
Canceling 50. It's no 50 without Cube.
It's no 50 without Cube. Ice Cube probably got bigger impact than him for sure.
That umbrella reached far. And he was, you talk about like movies that he was a part of and then went on to produce. I just watched Boys in the Hood the other night. Like, nah,
Yeah.
Cube was solid.
Fridays, I can't get rid of Cube.
Mm-hmm.
I can't get rid of Cube.
Cube was solid.
Yeah, that's a good one. Okay. I don't know if anyone would differ with that. I don't think. They probably all pick Cube. Maybe that wasn't a good one. Let's go to the next one.
Let's see.
All right, better actor. You got Will Smith and Jamie Foxx.
Probably
This
Jamie.
one I felt like it would be a little tougher. Yeah, like because
Probably
people love
Jamie.
Will
I
Smith.
think I think Will has shown up to every single movie as himself. Like I and it's no knock to him, but I remember Will Smith in Men in Black. Like I remember Will Smith in The Wild Wild West. I remember
Yeah,
Will Smith in iRobot. I couldn't really tell you any of those characters' names in like isolation or independent of each other. And then when it comes to like Jamie Foxx or Denzel, or I even throw Michael B. Jordan in there, like I can remember distinctively like the individual characters that they played in each movie.
Nah, but see,
Like
I don't know because
Jamie's.
Michael B. Jordan, I can't remove Michael B. Jordan from himself inside the movies that he plays.
Like, see,
To me,
Killmonger to me, yeah, was nothing like Creed. Two completely different people, like two
hmm
completely different animals. You know what I'm saying? And those are just like his two biggest roles pitted against each other. And then in some of his smaller roles, like Just Mercy or Fruitvale Station, like in those roles where he's
hmm
just kind of showing up as a human being, it's a little bit difficult. Journal for Jordan was really good. Showed up as a human being, was able to convey emotion. That's kind of his strength. It's like, to me, conveying emotion across the screen. But like in his biggest roles, I remember Creed distinctively from Killmonger. And like for Jamie Foxx, I remember Ray far away from the lawyer attorney he played in Law Abiding Citizen. But like for Will Smith, I just remember Will Smith in a lot of different movies, which either way, his ability to be um, versatile in that capacity is a strength in itself. To be able to show up as yourself everywhere and still be able to sell a whole production afterwards is incredible.
yeah,
Um, but I can only think of a handful of times like where he really struck me as a completely different person, far
yeah,
away from just himself.
yeah,
Will Smith in Bad Boys is not too far away from his character in Men in Black. It's really not. Like,
yeah. It's not.
not
I
exactly,
mean, I would agree with you. Jamie Foxx to me is the better actor.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that Will Smith isn't a great actor
Nah,
because
nah.
he is, and he's had some really phenomenal movies uh, during his career that we all know and love.
Yeah.
Plus his personality too. I mean, everybody got their trials. He's proven to
Yeah.
have some hiccups there, but uh, Jamie, I think Jamie is a two-time Oscar winner, bro. I think he's
Probably
got two
is.
Oscars under his belt.
I
Ray
had
and I
to
think Django,
look into that. Possibly. Oh
I
yeah,
think,
Django. Like, yeah, Django ain't nothing like none of them other characters that he's played. So I think his range is.
and then Ray too. Like he
I watched.
killed Ray.
Yeah, Ray. I just watched Collateral with him and Brad Pitt, and he played the taxi cab driver that had to like drive
Oh
him
wait,
around while he was killing all those people.
was it Brad Pitt? It was a young Brad Pitt, wasn't it?
Yeah, that was good. Like Jamie
No,
was really good in that. I
maybe
think
it
it's
was.
Brad
I
Pitt.
don't know, but I don't think it's Brad Pitt. But I think it was a good movie though. I think I seen pieces of it, and I was like,
Yeah,
damn, it's kind
that
of
shit
hard. Like,
hard,
man,
bro.
where this come from? I might have to turn that on for real.
That shit was hard, bro.
Yeah, Jamie, he's got a hell of a range. And not to mention like he's a super to us. I think Will is too. Is Will a super?
Yeah,
Will
it
make
was a
him be a
super.
super. But the amount of like talent he has in the entertainment realm, like his
Tom Cruise.
impersonation.
My fault.
Yeah, it's
It's
Tom
Tom
Cruise. That's what it
Cruise
was.
and Jamie Foxx and Collateral. Solid movie.
Yeah, yeah,
Solid.
super. But okay, I think we got one more, and then we gonna get y'all out of here. Now this one is I was kind of reluctant to do, but I'm gonna do it anyway. So we got Donald Trump and Barack Obama as far as impact. You got to choose one. We don't have to dive into it, but
That's tough. That's tough. And the reason why that's tough is because, like, far away from politics, Donald's written some good books. He has. And the advice comes from a lofty space and it's not applicable to everybody, and everybody won't be able to receive it. But he has written like some decent books that something can be taken from. And he has, my God, I hate saying it because there's so many other things that he's done so incredibly inappropriate. So I'm
what
not
books?
complimenting him.
What are the
Uh,
books?
I'm trying to remember the name. So my grandma has them, and she used to read them, and she's a Trump supporter. So my advocacy for him stops shortly after this. But I'm just saying that he does have contributions in finance, and there are um, quotes out there that somebody could find of value. I think
Yeah,
impact, obviously, in hands down goes to Obama, just because his first election run is one of the most powerful things that anybody who is blessed to be able to remember it will ever be a part of.
Yeah.
Just the ability to unify and galvanize so many people in his speech and his thoughts and his conviction as it relates to the things that he was attached to. I don't think we'll see a like a turnout like we did when it was time for his inauguration. Like, I don't think you'll see things like that twice. And long after his presidency, he's still in the community and still doing all the right things, and him and Michelle both. So,
Yeah.
you know, I'm not a part of the Barack Obama being the Antichrist train. I'm incredibly grateful that we were able to see him lead and serve this nation, and lead and serve beforehand, and lead and serve afterwards. And
Yeah. It really kind of set the
no,
example as well. Like,
yeah, no president's been perfect. No president's done everything that we've wanted them to do. And I'm not going
I'm not gonna knock him for it because
I
I
ain't gonna
can't say
knock
that
him
he had
for it.
all the help. You know what I mean? So
Yeah, I ain't gonna
sure,
knock him for it.
we have liked to see him do more. Absolutely, but that's a
Yeah,
whole nother story, another topic for another day.
yeah.
And I'm willing to dive into it. But I would have to agree as well. And I don't even want to say that it's a bias, but if you look at the spectrum, right, of the two, and the level of impact they've had on their supporters.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like, obviously Barack Obama being the first Black president, and then what that means to a culture, a ethnic background, um,
Mm-hmm.
is incredible, as far as impact goes. But then you think Donald Trump and then his supporters, and what he's been able to leverage from his
Mm-hmm.
supporters with undying, support. So it's like, it's incredible to see, and I'm glad to have been a part of both of them, just to kind of open your eyes to what it is and what's
Sure.
possible.
Sure.
But we're so, I mean, honestly, that kind of concludes our episode today. We kind of touched on a lot of different things, right? We got to catch up with Henry and what he's had going on for the last 2 years. And him and I, we sit around all day on the phone and talk about Open Ranx, or just a number of different things all the time. And this is always
Mm-hmm.
something we kind of get back to, is getting the show back going, and building the motivation, and finding the time to do it. Because both of us are extremely busy. Henry probably a little more than me, but either way, we're back and we're excited, and we're excited for y'all to get to experience more from us, especially
Yeah.
with what we have planned and in store for you guys. So if you're listening, watching, wherever you are, we appreciate you. Share it. You know what I mean? Try to get the word out, because our goal is to grow. And we need y'all help to do that. So, like I said, I want to appreciate you guys for listening. Henry, you got any closing remarks, bro?
Hell nah. We'll see y'all when we see y'all. Peace.
Thank y'all. Appreciate it. See you later.
What do you think will be different about this phase, Naomi 2.0 of your career?
I think I'm going to be a lot more open, actually. I usually go around the site with headphones on, just to like block out a lot. But I think this time, I don't know, I'm going to try to talk to some people, try to learn a bit.